The sun hung low over the red hills, burning through the haze like a silent fire, and dust rolled across the empty plain, carrying the scent of earth and distance. It was another long evening for Eli Carter, a cowboy who had spent more years chasing cattle than counting seasons. His only companion a loyal brown dog named Ranger whose sharp eyes missed nothing. They were riding back toward Eli's lonely cabin after a week on the trail when Ranger suddenly froze, his ears pricked and body tense, before he bolted toward a low ridge near the dry creek bed. Eli frowned, swung down from his horse, and followed, boots crunching through the dust until he saw what had stopped the dog. A woman lay half buried in the dirt, her blue dress torn and her skin pale as moonlight against the rust-red soil. Her breathing was shallow, her lips cracked, and her eyes closed as if the desert itself had drained her spirit. For a long moment Eli just stood there, heart pounding, unsure if she was even alive, while Ranger whined and nudged her hand. Dropping to his knees, Eli brushed the dust from her face and whispered, "Ma'am, can you hear me?" But no answer came, only the faintest stir of breath. A bruise marked her temple, and the ground around her told a silent story of struggle and collapse. She wasn't from around here, her hands were too soft for ranch work, her dress too fine for the frontier. "Easy now," Eli murmured as he lifted her gently, Ranger circling close and watching every move. As he carried her toward the cabin, something strange tugged at his chest, a whisper of recognition like a dream he couldn't quite recall. Inside, he laid her on his bed, fetched water, and cleaned her wounds with care while the lantern light flickered across her face. For the first time, he noticed a faint, almost peaceful smile beneath the exhaustion, and there was something hauntingly familiar in her features, the shape of her lips, the quiet grace even in her suffering. Ranger settled by the door, eyes fixed on her as Eli sat beside the bed, the silence thick and heavy around them. Outside, the plains stretched endless and still, storms gathering on the horizon. But in that small wooden cabin something else had begun to stir, something deeper than chance. He didn't know her name or her story, yet deep inside, he felt certain she was meant to find him, or maybe he was meant to find her. When dawn broke, the cabin was wrapped in a soft golden glow. The desert outside was quiet, still holding its breath after the night wind had passed. Eli sat in his wooden chair, hat pulled low over his brow, half dozing beside the woman who now stirred faintly beneath the quilt. Ranger's tail thumped softly against the floorboards the moment she moved. Her eyelids fluttered, and a faint whisper escaped her cracked lips, a name. Perhaps, though too faint to understand. Eli leaned forward, voice gentle. "Easy now, you're safe here," he said, pouring water into a tin cup and raising it to her lips. She drank slowly, eyes still clouded with confusion and fear. After a moment, her gaze steadied on him. "Where am I?" she managed to say. "About 5 miles east of Dust Ridge," Eli replied. "Found you out cold by the creek. You've been out near half a day." Her brow furrowed. "I remember riding. Then the storm hit. My horse spooked." She closed her eyes, the memory bringing a tremor to her hands. "I thought I was going to die out there." Eli gave a small nod. "You near did." He looked at her more closely now, beneath the dirt and fatigue. Her face carried a quiet strength, something both fragile and fierce. "Name's Eli Carter," he said, "and this here's Ranger. He's the one found you." The dog wagged his tail as if proud of the mention. She smiled faintly. "Thank you, Eli. And you too, Ranger." She hesitated, then whispered, "My name's Clara." The sound of it struck him like a faint bell from somewhere far away, familiar, soft, and painful all at once. Clara. He'd heard that name before, years ago, back when his father told stories by the fire about a family that once promised their daughter to a Carter boy before fate tore them apart. Eli had laughed it off as legend then, a tale buried with the past. But now, hearing her name in this quiet cabin, something in him stirred. As the morning stretched on, Clara regained a bit of strength. Eli cooked beans and coffee, watching her from the corner of his eye. There was an unspoken pull between them, not romance yet, but recognition, like two souls trying to remember an old tune. "You shouldn't have been out here alone," he said. "These lands don't forgive easy." "I wasn't alone," she murmured. "I was looking for someone." Her eyes lifted to his, steady and deep. "A man I was told I'd find out here." A man named Eli Carter. The cup froze halfway to his lips. For a heartbeat, neither spoke. Only Ranger's soft breathing filled the space. Outside, a hawk cried over the canyon, and the sound seemed to echo the thunder in his chest. He set the cup down slowly, eyes never leaving hers. "And what did you plan to find him for?" he asked quietly. She swallowed hard, her voice trembling but true. "Because my father said he was the man I was promised to, long before I was born." Eli stared at Clara, unsure whether to believe his ears as the lantern flame flickered between them, casting soft light across her face and revealing the truth in her eyes steady, sincere, and burdened by something heavy. He leaned back, the chair creaking under his weight. "Your father told you that?" he asked quietly. Clara nodded, her fingers trembling as they traced the rim of the tin cup. "He said my life was promised to a man named Eli Carter from Dust Ridge. I thought it was only a story until I found a letter after he passed one he never sent." Reaching into her torn dress, she pulled out a folded, dust-stained envelope. Eli hesitated, then took it. The paper was fragile, the ink nearly gone, but his heart pounded as he opened it. The words, written in a careful yet fading hand, carried the weight of generations, her father's message to Eli's own father, sealing an old promise between two families bound by loyalty and debt. "If the Lord allows," it said, "our children shall unite our names and build a life of peace after all the hardship." Eli's breath caught. He remembered his father's stories, tales of honor and oaths made before he was born, promises he'd dismissed as old frontier talk. Yet here she stood, living proof that the past still had a claim on him. Clara's voice broke the silence. "I didn't come for riches or a name. I came because this promise meant something. I had to see it kept, even if it's only to give our fathers peace." Eli folded the letter carefully, his mind spinning like dust in the wind. "You rode through desert and danger just to find me?" he asked. "That could have killed you, I know," she whispered. "But I had nothing left, only this promise." For a moment, neither spoke. The fire crackled softly, Ranger shifted at their feet, and Eli rose to stare out through the open door at the endless plain. "A promise made in the dust," he said. "Didn't think such things still mattered." "They do," Clara answered firmly, her voice gentle but sure. When he turned back, he saw her standing in the lantern's golden glow, her hair loose, her eyes calm yet filled with something unspoken. It wasn't just chance that brought her here, it was something older, deeper, a bond that refused to die. The wind howled across the land like a ghostly witness as Eli's voice softened. "Then maybe, Clara, it's time we find out what kind of life a promise like that can build." Ranger wagged his tail once, sealing the moment, and in the quiet of that lonely cabin, two hearts bound by history sat side by side, unaware that destiny had only just begun to reveal its hand.